When it comes to naming the greatest decade in American filmmaking, the 70s is bound to come up as a strong contender. The new Hollywood movement, which mixed big studio filmmaking with art house sensibilities to produce films, like The Godfather, Taxi Driver, Star Wars, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, was born during this decade. The political context of the time can be blamed for the cynicism of this era of cinema. Due to the Watergate scandal and the Vietnam War, American audiences were on edge. Naturally, a fearful societal milieu was ideal for horror films. In the 1970s, some true classics of the genre were released in theaters. Number 10. Jaws, 1975. With Jaws, widely considered as the first ever summer blockbuster, Steven Spielberg established that gore and AR rating don't matter when it comes to instilling a sense of dread in an audience. Jaws is one of the most terrifying films ever filmed despite its PG rating. To make his audience fear a 25-foot great white shark for 2 hours, while only seeing it for 4 minutes, Spielberg deployed every trick in the Hitchcockian suspense playbook. Jaws' well-crafted screenplay sets it apart from its shark-infested forerunners. This isn't a shark movie, it's a story about 3 mismatched men. The shark's only purpose is to get them aboard a boat in the middle of the ocean together. Number 9. Carrie, 1976. One of the masters of cinematic violence is Brian De Palma. He's converted on-screen bloodshed, which was long dismissed as a type of smut in Hollywood, into an art form. He was the ideal director to adapt Stephen King's first novel Carrie for the big screen. While dealing with cruel bullying from both her abusive religious zealot mother and her other high school students, the title character acquires telekinetic abilities. It's only a matter of time before she snaps, and De Palma brilliantly builds the tension. Carrie was released in theaters on November 3, 1976, and it was a critical and commercial success, generating nearly $33.8 million against a $1.8 million budget. At the 49th Academy Awards, it got 2 nominations, Best Actress for Spacek and Best Supporting Actress for Laurie. It is largely regarded as the best adaptation of the novel among the countless films and television shows based on the character, as well as one of the best films based on King's works by critics and audiences alike. Number 8. The Exorcist, 1973. Until Stephen King's latest adaptation, that is. The Exorcist, directed by William Friedkin and released in 1973, was the longest-running and highest-grossing horror film of all time when it was released in 2017. In the 1970s, the account of a priest's attempts to exorcise a demon that had possessed a 12-year-old girl encapsulated the zeitgeist. Despite the fact that there are numerous other contenders, The Exorcist is frequently cited as the scariest film ever created. The Exorcist was a smash blockbuster despite varied reviews and controversy about its content and viewer reaction. Patrons in New York City, where the film's initial run was limited to a few theaters, braved temperatures as low as 6 degrees Fahrenheit, rain, and sleet while waiting in long lines to buy tickets, during what is normally a slow time of year for the movies, many of whom were not first-time moviegoers. Crowds gathered outside cinemas, rioted at times, and police were dispatched to control the unrest in both New York and Kansas City. Some of those in line told the New York Times what drew them there. A third of the audience had read the novel and wanted to see if the film could realistically capture some of the book's scenes. "We're here because we're insane, and want to be a part of the crazy," others stated. It was the best horror picture he had seen in decades, according to a repeat viewer, definitely superior to Psycho. When you leave the theater you feel tainted, there's something that you can't get rid of. Many others made a point of expressing that they had never waited in line for a movie that long before, or had not done so in a long time. It improves the movie, William Hurt, then a Juilliard theater student, remarked of the experience. Things are worth more the more you spend for them. Number 7. Dawn of the Dead, 1978. After establishing the zombie mythos in Night of the Living Dead with an uncanny connection to America's horrible history of racism, George A. Romero followed up with Dawn of the Dead, a zombie-infested satire of consumer society. Dawn of the Dead combines both gnarly blood-soaked brutality and incisive social critique in spades, with its hordes of the undead pouring to the nearby mall. Stephen Andrews, a traffic reporter for WGON-TV in Philadelphia, and his pregnant girlfriend, producer Fran Parker, are plotting to hijack the station's helicopter and flee the city. A crosstown SWAT officer, Roger DeMarco, and his team attack a low-income housing project whose residents, largely black and Latino, are violating martial law by refusing to hand over their bodies to the National Guard. When armed civilians participate in a shootout with the policemen, the operation soon devolves into chaos. After maniacally killing numerous defenseless individuals, Roger tries to stop Wooly. A vicious and racist trooper Wooly is shot dead by an officer from another unit, Peter Washington. While the SWAT team is dispatching the reanimated dead who have harmed or killed several residents, Roger establishes an alliance with Peter, suggesting that they desert and join Stephen, a friend of his. They are notified about a bunch of zombies in the basement by an elderly priest, and they help in the gruesome task of destroying them. Number 6. The Wicker Man, 1973. Despite the horrible Nicolas Cage version ruining it for many modern moviegoers, Robin Hardy's The Wicker Man remains an eerie classic of folk horror. The Wicker Man is the pioneer and culmination of the law enforcement officer goes to scary secluded spot, where all is not as it seems subgenre. It is one of the few horror films deemed great art. The picture was made during a difficult period for the British film industry. British Lion Films, the production company, was in financial problems, and was purchased by John Bentley, a wealthy businessman. Bentley needed to get a film into production swiftly to show the unions that he wasn't ready to asset strip the company. This meant that The Wicker Man, a picture set in the spring, began filming in October 1972, and that in several shots plastic leaves and blossoms had to be affixed on trees. The budget for the production was kept low. Number 5. Don't Look Now, 1973. In the frightening opening seconds of Don't Look Now, every parent's worst nightmare comes true. Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland act as a couple who travel to Venice, after their daughter dies in an accident and the husband is hired to renovate a cathedral there. While the novel contains supernatural elements, Don't Look Now focuses only on the very real fear of losing a child, and the psychological effects it can have on a relationship. Number 4. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. All of the Texas Chainsaw sequels have developed into a game of one-upmanship based on extreme violence, yet Tobe Hooper's first film is comparatively bloodless. The inherent tension in the immediate threat of Leatherface was leveraged by Hooper to create more dread and anxiety than any amount of murder could ever achieve. Number 3. Suspiria, 1977. Suspiria by Dario Argento is an operatic nightmare. The first few minutes strike you like a shot in the arm, and the rest of the film keeps up the confusing pace and frightening beauty. Suspiria is a strong candidate for the best horror film ever produced thanks to its vivid, colorful colors effect on horror filmmakers and musical score by Argento and prog rock band Goblin. Number 2. Alien, 1979. Alien, directed by Ridley Scott, is a masterclass in pacing. Scott takes his time introducing the characters and their setting rather than jumping right into the horror. On the Nostromo, the crew members are just like us. Before a facehugger clamps onto Kane and impregnates him with a flesh-eating extraterrestrial, we get to know him as an ordinary guy. The legendary chestburster sequence at the middle is so dramatic because of the build-up. From there, Scott keeps the tension high, keeping the viewers fearful of the xenomorph, which was masterfully conceived by H.R. Geiger. Number 1. Halloween, 1978. With his minimalist 1978 blockbuster Halloween, John Carpenter established the slasher as a genre. The concept of an escaped mental patient chasing a group of youngsters, and discovering that one of them is considerably more badass than he expected, has been loosely replicated numerous times, but few have come close to surpassing Carpenter's brilliance. The faceless personification of sheer inhumanity, that is Michael Myers, is the ultimate horror movie villain, while Laurie Strode, played by renowned scream queen Jamie Lee Curtis, is the quintessential horror movie protagonist and one of the smartest, most resourceful final girls ever written. Halloween spawned an 11 film series that helped build a rich background for its antagonist Michael Myers, occasionally veering completely from prior episodes. In 2007, a remake was launched, followed by a sequel in 2009. In 2018, the 11th installment was produced, which serves as a direct sequel to the original film and retcons all previous sequels. Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, two sequels to that film, are set to hit theaters on October 15, 2021 and October 14, 2022, respectively. The film has also spawned a novelization, a computer game, and a comic book series. What do you think about this video? Do let us know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.